Hi again, guys. So today I had something. It's a video I've been wanting to make for a while now about one of my favorite topics, Native American wisdom. This book is so enlightening. I guess you could put it it kind of relates to Native American, the whole Native American wisdom thing, um great things come in small packages, or there's that story about the two men who were offered one really big box and one really small box. So the one guy who took the big box took it home. What was in the box was a log, just a log, decent sized log. And the guy who took the smaller box, the one who stayed modest, there was a diamond ring in it, and under the ring was a wedding gown all folded up. So, yeah, great things come in small packages, bigger isn't always better, and, so yeah, you don't judge a book by its cover. You'd think this book's so small it can't have any wisdom, but, this is actually a really cool historical book. So, as you know, I am an aficionado. I am infatuated with Native American culture. And, when I say Native American, that also extends to, all the indigenous peoples of what Columbus discovered, or what he thought he discovered. Or, he thought there were Indians, but he got the wrong ones. And so yeah, that includes indigenous people from South America, Central America, Canada, Native Alaskans, Native Hawaiians, and Aboriginals too. Aboriginal Australians. I know a lot of people say they're different people, and they are, but I mean, when I was reading that book, Dream Keepers, where the guy actually went to Australia and documented everything the Aboriginal Australians said. The one Aboriginal woman wanted to read his book that he wrote previous called Wisdom Keepers, pretty much the same thing but with Native Americans. She read it and was like, after the first paragraph, she was like, it's the same thing. Those people are dealing with the same thing we're dealing with, you know? The government took their land from them so they could search around for whatever ore, gold, diamonds, whatever, and they're not giving it back, and then they turned it into national parks, and so, yeah, the Aboriginal woman was like, it's the same thing. And, yeah, it kind of is. Even though we normally think of them as separate, but, separation is an illusion. Everyone's connected with, all the same, really. How much of our DNA is the same? We're the same species. Yeah, we all grew up. We're all from a vagina. So, yeah. We're all from the same place, and we all have a human brain that probably works similar in most people. So this book I want to show you was incredibly. It's not fiction. Obviously, it's this guy actually, uh, Edward Sheriff Curtis, after the time of the Civil War in America, when the Native Americans were starting to lose more and more of their culture, be more assimilated into white culture. Like, so this is a book he wrote. He wanted to document it before it was gone. So I'll read the beginning. Introduction. By 1868, when Edward Sheriff Curtis was born, the Civil War had ended, and America's attention had shifted to the final taming of the West. The Transcontinental Railroad was nearing completion, and the remaining independent Native American tribes found themselves in deepening conflicts with the government. Many were forced to fight. By the time Curtis and his family moved from Wisconsin to Seattle in 1891, all of America's native tribes had been forced to accept, in quotation marks, accept, they've been forced to accept government terms and were either confined to reservations or being assimilated into white culture. In Seattle, Curtis developed skill as a photographer and established his own studio. Intrigued by the native residents of the area, Curtis began photographing them. The commercial potential for such images was strong, and Curtis became convinced that he was witnessing an irreversible loss of Native American culture. So this is the original book this isn't the original book, this is kind of what remains of excerpts from his book, The North American Indian, was what he wrote. Because he did a lot of work with kind of going all over the West. He put in a lot of effort to kind of document all the Native American wisdom or like tribal stories and stuff they told. So this isn't the full book. This is just what kind of has survived to today, or at least what I found out that powwow that I was at, because that's where I bought this book, at that powwow. So I wanted to read for you the what I think are the most interesting parts, because I mean, I think everyone should like hear what's in this book, because when I'm reading it, I'm kind of like, I'm feeling weird how our culture isn't changing, but then I realized, like, okay, it's just me that's seeing all this. I don't, like, most people, they aren't even thinking about going to powwows or anything. So the first part is it's by Black Elk, the medicine man of the Oglala Sioux tribe. So you have noticed that everything an Indian does is in a circle. And that is because the power of the world always works in circles. And everything tries to be round. The sky is round, and I have heard that the earth is round, like a ball. And so are all the stars. The wind in its greatest power whirls. Birds make their nests in circles, for theirs is the same religion as ours. Even the seasons form a great circle in their changing, and always come back again to where they were. The life of man is a circle, from childhood to childhood, and so it is in everything where power moves. That was by Black Elk. And yeah, the power of a circle is kind of interesting, like Knights of the Round Table. I'm sure that kind of made them stronger. Like, you know, I'm really glad that in my room right now, I have this, you can see I have a round mirror, which, like in Feng Shui, the Chinese way of like energizing a room, they use different elements and corresponding with a balanced state of different shapes. So I guess like circles are good because, that's the Earth's in a circle. Everything works in a circle. Stones around. Birds make their nests in a circle. So and the Chinese also say that mirrors are good because, like, they give a sense of water to the room, or like, it's glass. Like you can see your reflection. And like when people do drum circles, like the energy is always trapped because everyone's, joining hands, staying in a circle. I think that's what they do in a lot of New Age circle things, like, yeah, circles. Keep that in mind, because I know a lot of, like, witchcraft rituals are always done in a circle, or, like, they always talk about casting circle to, like, keep the energy so it doesn't leak out. And when I do Tai Chi and Qigong, like, my instructor says all the movements are in a circle. All the movements are round. Because, that's helpful for the body. Like, we have full rotation of the spine. That's kind of what you want. Like, that's how keep healthy. Like, I know the Chinese, when they were starting to come up with all that stuff, like, that's how they came up with it. They just went to move in a circle, or like when they talk about turning heaven and earth. Like the Chinese internal artists see it as like the top half of your body is heaven, the lower half is earth. So like bottom half is feminine, upper half is masculine, and so like they wanna turn full rotation to turn heaven and earth around. And so yeah, circles. Interesting. Here's another part. We were taught to believe that the Great Spirit sees and hears everything, and that he never forgets. That hereafter we will give every man a spirit home, according to his deserts. This I believe, and all my people believe the same. That's by Chief Joseph of the Hamathon Yalakit. That's Nez Perce Chief, and here's his picture. Like, so that belief in, like, always being watched by, like, the Great Spirit makes me think of when parents tell their kids about Santa, and how if you're good, because he sees everything, if you're good, you'll get presents. But if you're bad, I don't know, you don't get presents. So, if you do something regrettable, like sinful, who's gonna know? Maybe not like Santa or God or whatever, but you'll know. And so it'll be in your subconscious, and they'll, if it makes you feel guilty, you don't want to feel regret. That's a negative emotion. So, keep that in mind. Great Spirit. So, here's another part that's interesting. All things in the world are two. In our minds, we are two, good and evil. With our eyes, we see two things. Things that are fair and things that are ugly. We have the right hand that strikes and makes for evil, the left hand full of kindness. Thinking about the hands, that's interesting. Because that's the opposite of what the Europeans thought. They thought the left hand's evil and the right hand's good. Like, or at least they used to. Like, Catholics always thought, like, using the left hand is, I don't know, being possessed by the devil or whatever, and that's not true. Like, it's just the left hand. It's a different side of your brain. So yeah, the right hand that strikes makes for evil, and left hand full of kindness. Hear the heart. One foot may lead us to an evil way, the other foot may lead us to a good. So are all things two, all things two, all two. That was by Eagle Chief. Eagle Chief, Laudicos Lissa, late 19th century Pawnee. On here are the pictures, like, I guess that's him, and, like, these things kind of look like tikis, like, remember the Native Hawaiians, like, tikis, Easter Island heads, I guess, all these people kind of have the same intuition about, like, I don't know, whatever, they made these sculptures in human form. Like, you might not know that the I think Inuits of places like Alaska or Yukon or Nova Scotia, or not Nova Scotia, but so really up north around the North Pole Arctic Circle, they have these things called Inuksuks, which are kind of just so tundra version of tikis. They're trail markers that are like when the Inuits want to mark a trail to show that you're on the right path. If you're hiking this trail, you're in the direction of human civilization, or there are other humans ahead. They the Inuksuks they make are stones in the shape of they take a bunch of different shaped stones, like squares, pile them on top of each other to be in the shape of a human, like sticking out like this. So that's how the Inuits would know that they're, on the right track or whatever. So this one's interesting. This one I thought was really interesting. How, I'm into fasting now. Like, it's actually recommended for bodybuilders or, like, people who want to get taller or to keep young. Like, it's kind of the elixir of immortality in a way. Like, there's a big study on how fasting, just intermittent fasting for like between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Releases HGH in the body. And also puts the body into ketosis. And yeah, so this is interesting because I thought it was really interesting because it's about fasting. It says, in Native American culture, to make medicine is to engage upon a special period of fasting, thanksgiving, prayer, and self-denial, even of self-torture. The procedure is entirely a devotional exercise. The purpose is to subdue the passions of the flesh and to improve the spiritual self. The bodily abstinence and the mental concentration upon lofty thoughts cleanses both the body and the soul and puts them into or keeps them in health. Then the individual mind gets closer toward conformity with the mind of the great medicine above us. That was said by Wooden Leg of the Cheyenne Indians. Wooden Leg. So, fasting is, I hear a lot about people saying, I've read books, they say, like, mental clarity comes with fasting. Like, I guess maybe that's why all the religions do it. Like, if you drop the Torah in Judaism, you're expected to go on 40 days of fasting. Or I know in Taoist, like, rituals or stuff, they talk about living on air, or like no less than 40 days of fasting. But like Jesus fasted. You know, they fast for Ramadan. And I know they, like, Muslims and Hindus mostly intermittent fast. Like, they just don't eat until sundown, then they eat dinner, and then they fast the next day and start again, blah, blah. And I think that's probably nothing, but it's not like real fasting. Like, yeah. So mental clarity, I hear a lot about that to improve focus and stuff. So, this other excerpt, it's a poem that I like. You know, poetry's, it's so easy, really. Like, I'm gonna be really thankful for that this Thanksgiving. Like, you have to make all this money just for writing down, putting some random words together. I mean, it's really not that hard. I read poetry. Everyone loves it, but I think it's just nonsense. Like, it comes naturally to me. So, hear me, 4/4 of the world. A relative I am. Give me the strength to walk the soft earth. A relative to all that is. Give me the strength, the eyes to see, and the strength to understand, that I may be like you. With your power only can I face the winds. That's also by Black Elk. Of the Oglossu by Black Elk. Black Elk was pretty good. You know, Black Elk, important, cool guy. Knew a lot of stuff, and so this other one is another excerpt that I thought was pretty interesting, kind of surprising how this sounds. Yeah, I'll just read it. It's, the old Indian teaching was that it is wrong to tear loose from its place on the earth anything that may be growing there. It may be cut off, but it should not be uprooted. The trees and the grass have spirits. Whenever one of such grows may be destroyed by some good Indian, his act is done in sadness and with a prayer for forgiveness because of his necessities. That was said by Wooden Lake, Cheyenne, but I guess it was a shared belief of all Native Americans. Like, that's interesting, really interesting, because actually yesterday in my World Civilizations class at Delco, the teacher talked about sophists, like philosophers in like Malaysia and Singapore and places like that, how they thought up where, like, to harm any other thing, whether it's an inanimate object or not, is like self-torture, self-inflicted harm, because everything's alive. And yeah, that's what the Malaysian sophists say. So another excerpt, Native American Wisdom, says, I am going to venture that the man who sat on the ground in his teepee, meditating on the life and its meaning, accepting the kinship of all creatures, and acknowledging unity with the universe of things was infusing into his being the true essence of civilization. That was said by Luther Standing Bear, Oglala Sioux Chief. Luther Standing Bear, which is really interesting because if you watch that movie, Sausage Party, like, even the one Native American character, Chief Firewater, because they were all supposed to be like animations of these grocery store items. So fire, water, I guess he was the one character, one of the few that achieved immortality. Because, he'd be meditating in a teepee a lot, working with the fires, and yeah. So, watch that movie. It was a good movie. Sausage Party. It's on Netflix. So, another excerpt, this one's by Salish, or Mourning Dove. The person's name is Mourning Dove of the Salish tribe, I guess. Oh, and there's the picture. So it's kind of cool how they make these dolls, like, kind of reminds you of ventriloquism, or like, animation of inanimate objects. Like, yeah, putting on theatrical ventriloquism acting. So the saying is, it was supposed that lost spirits were roving about everywhere in the invisible air, waiting for children to find them if they searched long and patiently enough. The spirit sang its spiritual song for the child to memorize and use when calling upon the spirit guardian as an adult. It's by Mourning Dove. And mourning spelled with a U, so like mourning. Sad dove. Crying dove. So it's saying like, to find the spirits, I know the Native Americans talk a lot about spirits, but I guess to find them you gotta have to kind of be outside, out in nature, far away from. I think the thing about spirits or fairies or whatever, they generally don't like human society. So you kind of have to be really out in nature. Like, you gotta be patient and, it doesn't come that easily. Oh, this is the last one I want to share with you. So this last thing about when there's that thing about Native Americans dressing up for war or like preparing to die in full dress. The idea of full dress in preparation for a battle comes not from a belief that it will add to the fighting ability. The preparation is for death, in case that should be the result of the conflict. Every Indian wants to look his best when he goes to meet the Great Spirit. So the dressing up is done whether in imminent danger. The dressing up is done whether in imminent danger is in oncoming battle or sickness or injury at times of peace. That's also by Wooden Leg. And so one more I want to share with you. One last Native American saying. This one's by the Chief Joseph guy, Nez Perce Chief. The book says, "The earth is the mother of all people, and all people should have equal rights upon it. You might as well expect the rivers to run backward as that any man who is born a free man should be contented when penned up and denied liberty to go where he pleases." So, freedom, high value in their society. The American culture talks about you know, they didn't have the different, like, social classes. Like, the rich can easily afford to take, like, yearly trips across seas, or, like, plane trips, cruise rides to wherever, the Caribbean or wherever. You know, talking about being penned up, and, you know, when some places are now, like, Europeans came, and, you know, now we own land, or, like, we say we own land, or we're trying to instill that concept into Native American culture. And the idea of owning land was kind of totally foreign to them. Like, it was just the first people that got their blanket or whatever down on the land, and then you had that land for until you left, and then it went on, and, you know, the earth was the commons to them. Like, everyone, they just roamed about, but now it's like companies own private property and stuff, and, you know, it's kind of weird when they have all this, their private property is like, they put up signs saying no trespassing, but unless you're, like, hunting or, like, trapping or actually gonna do something, if you're like me and you just wanna just walking around, then, like, what's wrong with just walking? Like, you might wanna explore the woods, or just go over to some other area, see what it feels like to be in a different, staying on different grass or whatever. So, yeah, that was the Native American wisdom said by the book written by Edward Sheriff Curtis, like, right after the Civil War, between the Civil War and the 1930s, when it was more into the traditional, when the people that were telling it, their stories, actually experienced the full Native American culture without any government influence. So, yeah, thank you for listening to my book. Yeah, so if you check out this powwows that happen all the time, you get to see all this cool stuff, like this book was really cool at powwows. Bye.